This is macOS Ken.
Apple and Google team up against Stalking, a shift in Apple's Indian supply chain, and two tales of Apple Pay. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of May, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Apple and Google are getting together to make Bluetooth trackers safer. What I mean is to make it harder to be tracked or stalked by items like AirTag without being aware. The two companies issued a joint statement on Tuesday announcing the initiative. The way a piece from Agence France-Presse puts it, the two companies are proposing a tech standard to make sure people get tipped off when their movements are being tracked with Bluetooth devices like AirTags or Tile. Speaking of Tile, they are on board, as are other makers of item trackers like Samsung, Chipolo, Eufy Security, and Pebblebee. Speaking for the Cupertino company, Ron Huang, Apple VP of Sensing and Connectivity, said, "We built AirTag in the Find My network with a set of proactive features to discourage unwanted tracking, a first in the industry, and we continue to make improvements to help ensure the technology is being used as intended." This new industry specification builds upon the AirTag protections and, through collaboration with Google, results in a critical step forward to help combat unwanted tracking across iOS and Android. And from the robot army, Dave Burke, Google VP of Engineering for Android, said, "While helpful, such trackers bring the potential of unwanted tracking, which requires industry-wide action to solve. Android has an unwavering commitment to protecting users and will continue to develop strong safeguards and collaborate with the industry to help combat the misuse of Bluetooth tracking devices." Seemingly pleased by the news is Erica Olson, Senior Director of the Safety Net Project at the National Network to End Domestic Violence. She's quoted as saying, "These new standards will minimize opportunities for abuse of this technology and decrease the burden on survivors in detecting unwanted trackers. We are grateful for these efforts and look forward to continuing to work together to address unwanted tracking and misuse." It is a start, though it will be a bit before the standards become standard. The joint release says the specification has been submitted as an internet draft via the Internet Engineering Task Force. Now it enters a 3-month comment period. After that, feedback will be addressed. The plan/hope is to have working standards in place by the end of this year. Apple contract manufacturer Wistron may be pulling out of India, though it is not taking its Apple business with it. Apple Insider cites a Hindu Business Line report that says after 15 years on the subcontinent, Wistron is mostly withdrawing from India. Apple Insider says the effort has already seemingly started, with Tata Electronics seeking to take control of Wistron's Karnataka iPhone production facility, which is also Wistron's main operation in India. If any of that sounds familiar, it may well. Back in February, the Financial Times ran a report saying that Tata was trying to buy a formerly troubled iPhone plant from Wistron rather than forging a 50-50 partnership with the Taiwanese company. That may also sound familiar. Apple Insider reminds readers the factory became a problem for Wistron in December of 2020 after employees rioted over allegations of shorted pay. The incident led to Apple putting Wistron on probation. Though its manufacturing will reportedly wind down, Wistron will apparently keep a foot in the door where Apple and India are concerned. Sources have Wistron maintaining its Indian operation that maintains and repairs Apple products. The parade of OS betas is rolling again, though at least part of it seems to have hit a pothole. A few pieces from Mac Rumors said Tuesday that Apple had seeded the fourth betas of iOS and iPadOS 16.5 to developers, along with the fourth betas of macOS Ventura 13.4, watchOS 9.5, and tvOS 16.5. With the macOS beta came lessons on why such betas should only be run on test machines or spare machines. A piece from Apple Insider says the fourth beta of macOS 13.4 is plagued by network issues. You know, we've had something like a plague over the past few years. Maybe we could say beset. Anyway, the fourth beta of macOS 13.4 is apparently having networking issues. Early stage reports from users indicate that it could be a Wi-Fi specific issue, according to the piece, with the network connection dropping periodically for some participants. If you saw headlines about the Ventura beta having content filter problems as well, yeah, it may be the same issue. I saw such a headline from Mac Rumors that said, PSA, latest macOS Ventura 13.4 beta doesn't play nice with content filter apps. That piece linked to two Twitter posts from @AaronP613. The first advised, don't update to macOS 13.4 beta 4. There seems to be network issues. Myself and one other person already having constant network drops every few seconds. That was followed a bit later by a post saying, if you have any content filters such as Little Snitch or Radio Silence, you need to disable it for your network to work again without issue. Remember, kids, betas are for test machines and spare machines, not your daily driver. Another round of firmware updates from Apple about which you can know and do nothing. 9 to 5 Mac ran a piece Tuesday saying Apple had released firmware updates for all of its AirPod models, first generation not included, Beats Fit Pro, Power Beats Pro, and its own MagSafe charger. Apple doesn't say what the updates do. It also doesn't give users a way to trigger those updates, but they are out there and will eventually be in your stuff, so there you go. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, BetterHelp, online therapy. How much time do you spend on you? That can feel selfish. There's work, there's family, there's the kids' school. There's all kinds of stuff our time can go to. Taking time for you can feel wasteful, but it's not. Spend all of your time giving and you can burn out, leaving nothing for you nor the people around you. Finding balance is important, and BetterHelp can help. You're too busy for therapy, right? Nonsense. Every bit of BetterHelp happens online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your very busy schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and if you want to switch therapists for any reason, you can at no additional charge. The convenience of online therapy was one of the things that I liked most when I was using BetterHelp. I also liked that I could reach out to my therapist outside of our weekly sessions, just to check my thinking or bounce ideas. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/macOSKen today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/macOSKen. BetterHelp.com/macOSKen. facebook.com/macOScan. There appear to be fewer titans behind the wheel. Seeking Alpha highlights a report from Mac Reports that says Apple has reduced the number of California drivers in its autonomous auto testing program. According to numbers submitted to the California DMV, the number has dropped from 201 pilots in March to just 145 in April. If you were looking forward to the wrangling between Apple and Masimo coming to an end, good news. You still got something to look forward to. 9 to 5 Mac says the court battle over IP inside Apple Watch has ended in a mistrial. In 2020, the piece says Masimo filed a lawsuit officially accusing Apple of stealing trade secrets and infringing 10 of the company's patents in the O2 sensor in Apple Watch. This wasn't out of the blue. Masimo says it entered into a working relationship with Apple way back in 2013. Then the company says Apple started poaching people active in Masimo's pulse oximeter technology. 7 years later, Masimo sued. This week, 9 to 5 Mac says a mistrial was declared after 6 of the jurors found that Apple had not stolen trade secrets to create the O2 sensor in the Apple Watch, but the 7th juror disagreed. Masimo says it plans to file for a retrial. However, given how close Apple came to an outright win, 9 to 5 Mac sees such a move as a risky thing for Masimo to do. Then again, a retrial is not the firm's only hope. Masimo is currently waiting for a ruling from the U.S. International Trade Commission. That body is considering a ban on the import of Apple Watch based on an ITC finding that Apple did infringe one patent. Two tales of Apple pay about which to tell you. First, if you had trouble using the service Tuesday morning, it wasn't just you. Apple Insider says Apple Pay, Apple Card, and Apple Cash all took a 1-hour power nap. That started at 10:24 a.m. Eastern and ended at 11:19 a.m., according to Apple's system status page. For each service, the message was basically the same, that some users couldn't use or may have had trouble with those services. So it may not have been everybody, but it wasn't just you. The other bit of Apple Pay news deals with expansion. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says Apple's contactless payment solution has gone live in Guatemala and El Salvador. According to the report, the feature will be supported in both countries by Banco Promerica and BAC Credamatic. And finally today, Prehistoric Planet, the sequel. I know what you're thinking. That would be Historic Planet, wouldn't it? Oh, friend, there is so much prehistory. Apple TV Plus has shared a Dynamite trailer for the second season of Prehistoric Planet. I can hear you groaning from here, but that was not my pun. Dynamite was actually in the headline of the press release about the trailer and season premiere. Oh, they're also doing a podcast because there can never be too many, apparently. As it did last year, the release says the season rolls out in a 5-day, week-long epic event on Apple TV Plus, with new episodes transporting viewers back millions of years in the past to discover our world and the dinosaurs that roamed it, all in extraordinary detail. That 5-day week begins on Monday, the 22nd of May. Starting much sooner, Prehistoric Planet, the official podcast. Set to premiere on the 8th of May, the release says the 4-episode podcast will feature the show's executive producer, Mike Gunton, diving into the art and science that brought the landmark Apple original series to life. You can catch a trailer for Prehistoric Planet, the official podcast, now on Apple Podcasts. As for the Apple TV Plus series, the trailer for that is available on YouTube. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by BetterHelp. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/macOSken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.